So just how good are Korean action thrillers? Well, I would say many, if not most of them, can put action movies that come out here in the US to shame with their unique characters, premises, and worlds. I got a list of 10 movies to hopefully back up that statement and recommend to you to check out that I think are some of the best Korean action thrillers. So for each of these picks, I'm going to tell you the movie, what it's about, what I like about it, my rating, and where you can watch it. So let's jump into my first recommendation. First, we have The Man from Nowhere. No, not that nowhere. A pawn shop owner with a violent past becomes friends with a young girl and takes on a drug and organ trafficking ring in hopes to save her. Visually, this movie is really good. It's got a messy, disjointed feel to the action, similar to Bourne, but not in a bad way. I don't say that as to the movie's detriment. It's definitely a compliment. It is brutal and heavy hitting, giving off some John Wick and Leon the Professional vibes. If any of that is your kind of thing, you definitely got to check out The Man from Nowhere. I rated the movie a 7 out of 10, and as of recording, this is streaming on Prime Video, Peacock, and Mubi. Next, we have The Villainess, which I actually have in my collection. This is another one that you can even tell from the cover kind of has some John Wick vibes, but it has a Korean flair to it. So this movie is about a female assassin who thinks she is finally out of the game, but when secrets are revealed about her past, she begins blazing a trail of revenge for answers. Boasting fantastic fight choreography and variety in its styles, this movie has some of the most top-notch fight sequences I've seen in a while. Now, the story can be a little difficult to follow at times. There's a lot of flashbacks and stuff, but in the end, it sticks the landing. You may have to look up the ending to make sure you understood it all like I did, but it definitely works and it's a great watch for action fans. I rated the movie a 7 out of 10 and it is currently streaming on Freevee, Pluto TV, and Peacock. Next, we have The Call. Not the only one out there with this title, but one you won't want to miss. It tells the story of a young woman who moves into a house and begins receiving calls from another woman in the same house 20 years in the past. The calls and following conversations will change both of their lives forever. A huge surprise in my viewing experience, this is one of the most unique thrillers I've ever seen. Both performances from the lead characters are great. Their chemistry and dynamic as the story progresses is both intense and interesting. Now, I'm keeping most details on this one under wraps as I want you to experience this one knowing as little as possible, but it comes as a high recommendation. This movie I rated an 8 out of 10 and it is exclusively streaming on Netflix, though I would love to get a Blu-ray for it if they could make one. Next, we have Train to Busan, one of the greatest zombie flicks ever made. When a zombie virus breaks out in South Korea, passengers on a train traveling to Busan must struggle to survive. Now, the first time I watched this movie, I liked it well enough, but then on repeat viewings, I grew to love it more and more. I've seen the movie at least 3 times now, and I absolutely love it now. Now, many of the characters fit into a stereotype, but it's never heavy-handed, and it always has a purpose within the story. And aside from the wild and exhilarating zombie sequences, the story has gut-punching moments that by the end left me on the verge of tears. I rated this movie a 9 out of 10 and it's currently streaming on Prime Video, Freevee, and Peacock. Next, we have I Saw the Devil. This is one of the most insane thrillers I've ever seen. A secret agent seeks revenge on a serial killer through a series of captures and releases. Now, this is another one I'm not going to say much on because I want you to experience it yourself. It is emotional, it is brutal, it hooks you at every single scene, and it is not for the faint of heart. But if you're looking for an incredibly well-made thriller that will keep you on the edge of your seat, you gotta check out I Saw the Devil. I rated this one an 8 out of 10, and it is currently streaming on Pluto TV and Tubi. Next, we have another movie to absolutely blow your mind by the end, Old Boy. After being kidnapped and imprisoned for 15 years, then released, a man has 5 days to find his captor. Now, this movie is most well known for an iconic hallway fight sequence, and it is also filled with so many twists and turns and a final act that nearly left me speechless. If you're unfamiliar with it, this movie includes some incredibly dark and uncomfortable scenes and moments. They add to the stakes and complexity of the film in a very, very powerful way. And this movie is very discerning deserving of the status that it holds. I rated this one a 9 out of 10, and unfortunately it's not streaming anywhere, so if you want to check it out, you're going to have to go out and buy it or rent it. Probably one of the most well-known movies on this list, but still absolutely worth discussing. An unemployed family takes special interest in infiltrating the lives of a wealthy family until they get entangled in an unexpected incident. This is a nearly perfect movie from a masterful director in Bong Joon-ho. It's thought-provoking, it's exciting, it's funny, and it is very entertaining. With so much detail packed in, it's another one that absolutely benefits from repeat viewings as well. This is a movie like nothing else I've ever seen. I rated this movie a 10 out of 10, and it is streaming on Max. Next, we have a premise that grabs your attention and the rest of the movie that very capably carries you through: Spirit Walker. It is a sci-fi action film about a man who loses his memory and subsequently wakes up in a new body every 12 hours. Now, this is not only a cool premise, but the rest of the movie definitely delivers on that setup and follow through. It's very twisty. It keeps you guessing from beginning to end, but you can trust that the ending ties it all together in a really great way. I rated this movie an 8 out of 10, and it is currently streaming on Peacock. Next, we have The Witch, Part 1, Subversion. An ordinary high school student with amnesia tries to uncover what happened in her past, revealing a darkness that she never imagined. Now, I did have some issues with the pacing in the first act of this movie, but I am long overdue for a rewatch, but I'm also long overdue for a rewatch on it. But overall, it had great action, it had a really interesting story, and from what I've seen online, it is much more loved than my first experience was with it, so I definitely want to give it another chance. Even still, I rated this movie a 7 out of 10. It's currently streaming on Prime Video, Freevee, and Peacock. Lastly, we have Snowpiercer, the least Korean feeling movie on this list, but still deserving of mention. Now, this is a post-apocalyptic story where the remainder of humanity lives on a train that circles the globe and operates under a unique and interesting new class system. Now, this is a heavy social commentary, but it is equally interesting and exciting in what it both has to say and the way that it says it. There's great performances from Chris Evans and many other actors, and the utilization of the setting for the fight sequences and the movie itself just make for a very exciting time. I rated this one an 8 out of 10, and it's currently streaming on Hulu, Netflix, and Prime Video. So those are my recommendations and 10 Korean thrillers that I think are absolutely great and wanted to recommend and give you a chance to check out. So I hope you have found a new movie on here that sounds interesting, that you would love to give a chance. If you go and watch it, come back, let me know in the comments what you thought of what you checked out. I would love to hear your reaction to the movie as well. I hope to see you in the next one. See you later.